the world is so divided these days, and that they don't want to even talk to each other if you have a different belief. How can we overcome this issue? As a religious leader, what do you advise?
I think we have to stop believing that there's only one truth. And either that I've got the truth, which means you don't, or that that's the only way it can be. I want to share one story that does come from the Talmud that I think illustrates this well. So almost always in rabbinic times, there wasn't just one school. Unlike the Catholicism, which might have one pope who could dictate it, in traditional rabbinic times, there were always at least two major schools of thought, and they were almost always disagreeing with each other. So one of the most famous zugot, or pairs, was Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Shammai. And they disagreed on virtually everything. But the Talmud tells a story of one issue in which they fought about for so long, for more than 3 years. And it got to be such a big problem that they didn't want their students to marry with people from the students of the other school. So you get the sense of like, we don't even want to talk to those people. In America these days, if you're a Democrat, you don't even want your children to marry a Republican. Okay, so there is a real sense of divide. Not just that they're different, but they're somehow demonized. They're almost like they're bad, and as opposed to just being able to disagree. So they fought over this for many, many years. Finally, it says, a heavenly voice comes and says, Elu ve'elu, these and these are words of the heavenly God. So that when there is a argument for the sake of heaven, meaning if there's truly an argument for the sake of heaven, and you have two different truths that cannot be reconciled, ultimately, God says you can actually hold multiple truths at the same time and recognize they might not be reconciled, but they're both actually for the sake of heaven. And I thought, this is a truth we need to understand today, that we might disagree and I might be able to convince you. Maybe I'll never convince you, but if I feel like you're coming at this with a sincere heart, we need more practice in understanding that and being able to see someone on the other side not as evil, not as stupid, not as a demonized person, but as a truth, be able to still be in civil conversation and society with each other.
When we saw a survey, more than half of the people say they don't believe in religion anymore. Especially young people under 40, is about only 40% is saying they have religion. Why do you think this is happening, and how do you see it?
Why do I think it's happening? I think there are probably a lot of reasons, but I will say that one of the things that have become problematic is there are people who speak in the name of religion with a kind of certainty that they are speaking for sure the word of God. And sometimes the people who speak on behalf of God are speaking in a way that I don't think actually lifts up the dignity of human beings. They can speak on behalf of God and say terrible things about other people, or things that actually really hurt the dignity of human beings. So I think that that's actually really damaged religion in America and in other places as well. I also think that people have become much more preoccupied with their individual success and with materialism. These are the modern day idols, I think, of our time. It makes me greatly sad for a lot of reasons, because I think religion, and here I'm not just talking about Judaism, but I think all religions in their best form, because I think every religion can be perverted, including Judaism, especially when it goes to an extreme. But I think every religion has what I would call spiritual technologies that actually help people build community, help them find awe and wonder in their lives, help them feel more grateful, help them actually be more selfless and serve other people, and helps them be more joyful, happy people. So I think that both in America and Korea, we're seeing an epidemic of loneliness, of more mental illness, of suicides in teenagers. We're seeing people who feel materialistic. We feel people who are really lonely, like deeply, despairingly lonely, and they've lost their sense of community. To me, that's not a coincidence with the loss of religion. Religious communities helped build that for people. They help them feel less alone. It helped reinforce values that you're supposed to serve something bigger than yourself, and that there's more to life than making money and just accumulating accomplishments. So I think that when religion is expressed in its highest form, in all the different vocabularies of Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, all the religions, they have at their core a seeking of life's deepest questions and meaning and community and service to something bigger. And if we can recapture that, I think we could solve a lot of society's problems, here and in America.
We thought in the 21st century we won't be seeing wars like this again, and especially in the Middle East, that how can we interpret this happening like this again?
We all pray for the day when there will be no more war, and this is a war that unfortunately Israel didn't start, but that Hamas began on October 7th and with a really devastating attack. And I think that I'm a rabbi who believes deeply that Israel has a right to safety and security for its citizens and its land, and Hamas has not only threatened it on October 7th, but promises to continue to attack it. So I think Hamas has to be dismantled in its power. But I also am a rabbi who believes strongly that Palestinians need to be able to live with dignity and safety as well in their home, and Israel needs to make sure that that can happen. In many ways, the dismantling of Hamas is not only just for Israelis, it's also for Palestinians in Gaza who are unfortunately being used by their own Hamas leadership in this war. So I pray for a day when this war will be over, God willing soon, and then I will continue, I promise, to urge Israel to find a way for both peoples to live with dignity and safety in that land.
Is there anything more you want to tell Korean viewers, to speak to Korean viewers?
Well, that's a good last question. I'd like to say that I think that there are many Koreans all around the world in the Korean diaspora who really do feel deeply connected to Korea, even from far away. And I hope that it feels to them that we belong as much as we feel our hearts are also here.
Thank you.
Thank you.